This is an ABC News special report.
We're coming on the air with sad breaking news. Former First Lady Barbara Bush has died. She was 92 years old. The matriarch of one of America's most important political families, Barbara Bush first took the national stage as Second Lady to then Vice President George H.W. Bush for 8 years and then First Lady for 4 years. Even after leaving the White House, the political spotlight never far away. She, of course, was also the mother of President George W. Bush and Jeb Bush, the former governor of Florida and Republican presidential candidate. She is survived by 3 other children, 17 grandchildren, and 7 great-grandchildren. And, of course, her husband, the former president, who was also in poor health. Barbara Bush battled Graves' disease for decades, but most recently was plagued with respiratory issues and congestive heart failure. Sunday, a spokesperson revealing the former First Lady's health was failing, and she had chosen to stop any medical treatment and instead spend her last days in comfort with her family. ABC's Cecilia Vega has more on the life of Barbara Bush.
Guilty.
I hated it when anyone criticized my brilliant husband, and I'm furious when they criticize my son.
And her razor-sharp wit.
That same fellow that I used to yell at to please pick up his room, to see him as president is truly amazing.
Born Barbara Pierce in Rye, New York, the third of 4 children. At 16, she met George Herbert Walker Bush at a school dance. They were engaged a year and a half later before he left for the war. He knew back home she was waiting.
I would stand there and look out at the blackness of the sky, and I would think about friends I lost, a country I loved, and about a girl named Barbara.
The Bushes had 6 children, but tragedy struck when they lost their 3-year-old daughter, Robin, to leukemia.
Do you ever get over that?
No. And that's okay, too. But it's true that she is a happy part of our life now.
While George built a political career, Barbara packed up the kids, moving more than 24 times. Along the way, learning from a struggle with depression.
I think it was a good thing to happen, because now when I hear about depression, instead of saying, oh, pull yourself together, which is what I used to think, I now think, well, that's tough, and you got to get help.
But for decades, she was the rock by his side.
I, George Herbert Walker Bush, do solemnly swear.
The woman with the down-to-earth style thrust into the glamorous role of First Lady, an irony she would joke about when she got to the White House.
And speaking of glamour, I want you all to look at me very carefully.
As First Lady, Barbara Bush left her own mark, promoting literacy. But it wasn't until after the White House that Mrs. Bush would reveal some of her private views in a memoir, including her thoughts about abortion.
You are pro-choice.
I think that's right. And that comes as no surprise to George Bush.
The family could always count on Barbara to speak her mind.
My dream for our family has always been they'd grow up, they'd get a good education, they'd be happily married, or they'd find someone they could be happy with, and that they would not think they were entitled, that they would work, and that they would then turn around and give back to the country because they're so lucky. And my dream has been answered.
You heard the former First Lady talking about her daughter Robin, who passed away when she was just 3 years old. We're told in her final days, Mrs. Bush mentioned Robin often and spoke of seeing her again. Barbara Bush was 92 years old. For more on her incredible life and legacy, go to abcnews.com, and our live streaming coverage continues online. We'll have the latest on Nightline later tonight. We return now to our regular programming.
This has been a special report from ABC News.